Welcome back to No Chill with Gilbert Arenas. Today we got a very special guest, world-renowned basketball trainer, trained over 40 NBA guys, college, high school, everybody you could think of, guys like LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Jimmy Butler, and Ben Simmons. Chris Johnson, we appreciate you pulling up.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here. Hey. I'm a fan of the show.
We appreciate you, man. You said you watch all the episodes, right?
I'm watching every episode because it's authentic. I love the information. I love the challenging questions, and it's just super unique.
We appreciate it. Yeah. So my older brother's name is Chris Johnson. Played at UCLA back in the day. I told him I was interviewing you, and he told me to tell you, he's like, man, my phone, people still be hitting me all the time, confusing me, you. Like, when we getting this work in? He's like, what you talking about? Like, so he wanted to, send some love your way and just let you know. Yeah.
That's crazy. Number love. Chris Johnson's in the building.
We got, Chris Johnson's dominating the world.
Sometimes I get phone calls where people thought I was Chris Johnson, the running back.
Okay.
That was really good for the Tennessee Titans. He was nasty with it.
Yeah, for sure.
His name is Chris Johnson too.
Yeah. So for everybody who doesn't know you, put us up on game. Who is Chris Johnson, the world-renowned NBA basketball trainer?
So for me, growing up in the basketball world, my dad played. He played ABA. He brought me up in the game and just being around the game, being a student of the game. When I was younger, I knew I would be a part of basketball. I just didn't know to what degree. Like, you can't never picture out what you want to do. And then with the NBA being there and growing up watching guys like Magic, Isaiah Thomas, Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway is one of my favorite all-time guards to study and watch because of the killer crossover and his ability to pick up and shoot right over you at any time. And just that era of basketball, Kevin Johnson, Spud Webb. My dad took me to Spud Webb camp in Dallas, and just meeting Spud and just seeing like, man, maybe I got a chance. And now that I work with the best players in the world, I didn't have a chance. I realized that right off the bat. Could I play? Absolutely. Was I a top level player? Absolutely. But being in the NBA is totally different. So it's no joke. And so I realized that right away. So even progressing through high school, college, and getting ready for professional basketball, you realize there's another gear, it's another animal. And the animal is not always mental, it's physical also. So it's a special gift, and you gotta have like every attribute to be really good at basketball. Other sports you may not have you could be really fast and not be quick.
Yep.
You could be, big and strong and be slow. But in basketball athletes are dynamic, quick, fast. You may guard a guy that may be extremely, vertical challenge. He can go boom, and then the next play down, he can just run right by you. And so I realized that being a basketball player in general, you really have to have other aspects of your physical game with a skill set, which is crazy. So basketball's been good to me. But that's how I got here, and then from there, I coached every level of basketball. So from high school, being coach of the year there, I was a graduate assistant, got my master's degree. Most people don't know that, but I got my master's in counseling years ago because my vision, 21 years ago, my vision was after basketball, after coaching in the NBA, that I will become the #1 black mental coach, and that's where I'm at right now. So when people ask me, like, what are you doing? I said, I already knew what I was gonna do. It worked out, and it just happened to be in different ways. And I coached in the G League. I spent my time in the NBA, and then I spent away from the NBA under mentors like John Lucas. I learned how to actually develop and what development would look like in the off season for NBA pros being under John Lucas. And he taught me things about how to handle pros and how to get the best out of them. And so skill development at that time still wasn't completely skill development because what we did then, I don't do now. So it's kind of changed along. And then from there, everything just took off with, it's a slew of clients. Like, I've worked with people international from each country, and it's unbelievable with the amount of players that I've touched that play in the NBA, G League, or guys that were NBA players that are now overseas that were absolutely dynamic in the NBA. Just the NBA is that tough to maintain life in there.
So let's go back to the beginning. You get into the training game working underneath John Lucas, but who was the first NBA player that you took under your wing that believed in the vision and started putting in that work with you?
Oh, no doubt, it's Mike James.
Okay.
Mike James. Mike James, Amityville, shout out to Mike James. Mike really bought into my teaching and the way I seen things, but his work ethic. So what he taught me was probably more valuable than what I taught him. Mike was a guy that would get up 5:45 yoga, 7 o'clock we on court, 8:30 swimming, 10 o'clock lunch boxing, 11 o'clock we at John Lucas, 2 o'clock we got open run. And he believed in an 8-hour workday because he was undrafted. And he always went back to his Miami days to where he was under Pat Riley and how tough it was to come the undrafted route. So with my work ethic and understanding what a player had to do that was undrafted, it makes it really, really easy for me to take a guy that's got a name, that's seen, and I give him that same dog type of mentality and take him to that level to where you got to believe in yourself. I got a unique story Mike shared with me. It was Coach Van Gundy with the Houston Rockets. And Coach Van Gundy, Mike has scored maybe 3, 4, 5 buckets in a row. He's having a game of his life. And Van Gundy pulled him in a timeout and was like, no more shooting, shut it down. And so Mike had to make a choice. It's a mental choice. I believe in myself, I believe in my ability. And people thought he was crazy, but he had to have this mentality to even be where he was. And so I just learned so much from Mike being one of the first guys that was my first ever paid NBA client. And from there, it didn't take long because I knew everyone. I'm in the basketball circuit, and it just took off really fast. But I think it has to do with my ability to communicate and deal with people. But shout out to Mike James.
Yeah, we used to challenge each other.
Mike,
We used to challenge each other in practice all the time, and that's where I got some of that dog. And that's what when people talk about the mental game is so important because you got to remember the NBA level. Just to make it, you had to be different.
You have to be.
You have to be different. So like Mike James or a PJ Tucker or a Draymond Green, they have a different mindset. They probably wasn't the gifted.
Right.
They didn't get all the glitz and the glamours and the roses coming in. They had this underground world that they had to build from. So playing against Mike James all the time, practicing, the game became a little bit easier.
Because he's giving you his best.
Because he wants time. So now if he wants time, if it's me, Steve Blake, then him, he's battling both. That's his game. That's his. Oh, we're going against yes. Kyrie today. We're going against Curry today. I'm the Curry to him. So he's bringing his A game. So now I have to mentally come into practice and you can see him already bouncing in he's been up early already. You can see it. So now mentally you have to sit here and be like, all right, James, all right, man. I just finished battling. Now I got to battle you today. I'm not trying to do that today. But that's the type of players that you might not see in games, but those are the players that are making your favorite player better.
Every day, because that's what he brought. He loved to play the game. And he would always tell me let me know when I'm getting old. And he was like, because he was always concerned about his first step, because he shooted well. And he was like, put me up against these young bulls every day. And they looking, and he's really testing his motor, and he always let his dog out. But he's the first guy to have Bible study.
Yep.
It would trick you. He would pray for you, he would have Bible study.
Yep,
and then as soon as you hit the floor,
different dude.
You're like, yo, who is that? So people thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
And I realized it, and I learned so much from him, and that's years ago. And I'm able to still pour that into all the other guys that I work with. And I took a guy like Jimmy, and I took that type of work ethic, that type of treatment, and put Jimmy into that whole work ethic. And he took off. And that's what Mike believed in. And Jimmy's been around Mike, but Mike was the ultimate. He's the ultimate. He's gonna go at you every day. He's not going to the training room. It don't matter what's going on. He's not going to the training room because he believed if he was seen in the training room, that it would show the team a lack of weakness. It may cut him. Like it was certain things. So he's not going to the training room. It's different now. You got guys that are younger that are in the training room.
But that's what I said. But that's what, like, when people understand, like, it's like lions, right? You know, we're teammates, yeah. But deep down inside, we're trying to advance.
Absolutely.
We're trying to move up the ladder. If I'm making $2 million a day, I'm trying to make $8 million tomorrow. I'm trying to make $12 million. And the only way I can get there is through you.
Yep.
You're in my way. And people don't understand that is sports.
How do you get young people, Gil, to take that? Because you had that. Can you teach that?
Yeah, you can. You can, but you got to remember, what is society teaching them right? See, you got to remember, people who think like me are called crazy, right? Because society says when you're younger, it's about team. We win.
Everybody gets a medal.
Championships, right? Unsportsmanlike conduct. Don't blow a team out by 30. Don't blow a team out by 40. Take it easy. That's what society is telling. Right? So what happens is that kid is developing being mediocre. I get to be mediocre. I get to we just blend in. We all win. Woo, we all got a trophy. We all got a t-shirt. What?
That don't work.
I want that shiny shit. I want that big ass trophy. How do you get to that? Well, you got to go through that team. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You got to remember, like back AAU, when we played, if I lost to you this week in this tournament, I don't see you again for probably 2 months.
Maybe not even the rest of the summer.
Rest of the summer. Like, I lost, so I got to see you next year. So that means that haunts me the whole time. Not, I get to see you at the next tournament next week.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where that society is teaching everybody, like, you blend in.
Right.
You blend in, it's about winning championships. I've never seen a college coach say, hey, how many high school championships you win? 4? You average 2? Here's a full ride.
Nah, that don't work.
You better work at McDonald's.
Because you're going to cost him a job.
They don't care if he was the 15th, 14th, 13th player on a 4-year championship team. You're not getting no job.
Right, that's a fact.
You're not getting you're gonna have to get a regular job. That is not how sports and life work. If you're up 30, go up 40, go up 50, because there's a player on that team. We've been seeing it lately in football and stuff. They're celebrating, and there's that one kid sitting out there looking, soaking it up, like, all right.
This is what it, yeah.
That kid right there is the reason you stomp on him. Because you give him 1 inch, he wants to take a mile.
Yes.
Because he's looking, it hurt him so bad that he's sitting in the dark, training, adapting for you. Without that ass whooping, he becomes mediocre. Absolutely. He needs that ass whooping to turn into what he is. Mayweather need that loss in the USA Olympics to become Mayweather.
Yeah.
And that's what society is. They're trying to teach you not to be elite.
Shit. That's real shit.
That's real.
Yeah, you always keep it real. I mean, that's why I appreciate you like working on the show and just hearing your takes and opinions on the world. Because like we were kind of to your point, yeah, you play a squad, you get your ass busted, you can't get that revenge on them. Yeah. And by the time next year comes around, you're not really thinking about that shit again. But nowadays, motherfuckers play 5-6 games a day.
Yeah, just losing, winning, lose. Like,
right.
Man, you better stop. You better stop. Like, as I said, I remember like me, because I was more of the mental part.
Right.
Like everything was more mental, trying to figure out how to mentally beat him, how to like get inside of his head. Like I just like little things, because that's what was done to me.
Right.
I remember on my day there was a kid named Andy. He was my dad's point guard. Slow. He was a Hispanic kid. Shifty, crafty, brilliant. Right? When he seen me like coming, getting fast, he'll start saying stuff like, I bet you can't shoot without your right thumb. Who can't shoot without his right thumb? Right? Like I'm on fire, just went 0 for 20 now.
Right.
Because all I'm sitting here is trying to prove him wrong. Like, and he's just sitting there laughing. And it's just like the little things and it's just teaching me to play this is a mental game too.
It's all mental. It's all mental.
It's all mental. Like the physical means nothing. I'm physically more dominant, and he just mentally took me out of the game.
Do you think, like, because with the generation that we look at now, and I've been able to see like different generations like come through, boom, 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 boom. And people don't think that this generation is tough enough, but I don't think, it goes back to your point, I don't think that they're put in enough tough situations, like enough stress situations that can actually, figure out if we can go in this foxhole together and we're gonna come out, and I think if you take away the failure at an early age, it puts you in that position to where you're not as competitive. Mm-hmm. And being that competitive makes you stand out in a way where people don't understand it, but you always finish first. Mm-hmm. And so this whole mental game for me is super important. And you were talking about, like, even when you were pre-draft, just the mentality of you going through and people thinking like, yo, he's off. Yeah. But really, you were playing chess. And you understood the pieces. Mm-hmm. You moved pieces because your job is to win for you. It's not to win for him.
Yep.
And I think that message can be really confusing. And so my message I give to my son and young people, focus on you. Like, your dad pays your bills. Mm-hmm. Like, you go to school. Yeah. Like, why are you focusing on making that other guy better? Focus on you.
That is the biggest illusion I've ever heard. He makes his teammates better. That is, the concept from being small. I never understood it. It just didn't. It was one of those things like, he wants his cake and eat it too. That just don't even make sense. Why would I want cake and not eat it? It just does not register to me. Right? So it's like, yeah, he makes his teammates better. Either his teammates are good or they're not. Right? No matter how many times I drive, if I pass it to you and you can't shoot, I'm not making you better. You're making you better. You training and putting in 6-7 hours on your shot makes you better. If you're a Honda, you're gonna still be a Honda no matter what I do until you decide to change your engine. And that's what, like, when Kevin Durant went to Golden State, did he make Curry better or Clay better? Did they make him better? No, just those cars got in the same house and they just did what they do. Yeah. Great players adapt to other talent.
That's true.
You adapt. Like, all right, I average 30. All right, you can go. All right, should I, 25, let him do his thing. Go. Okay, I'm running, you run. Okay, my run, you want to run, you run. But if I know you ain't running,
and
now I'm a ball hawk.
But you have to do that. I think it's more situational. Like, when you focus on you and you can get a bucket, and it's like you recognize the situation. Like, all right, 1-4 flat. Mm-hmm. That 1-4 flat, 1-4 flat, 1-4 flat, and then all of a sudden, boom, the backdoor dime. Mm-hmm. So it's more so being really great at what you do, and then your ability now, your end game comes in, and now you're able to make the right decisions during game situations. And that is the tricky part. Because I have players that I've seen that say, man, I want to average 30 points a game. And I go watch their practice. And not the game.
Yes, right. Yep.
And they took 4 shots in practice in a 2-hour setting. Mm-hmm. That goal is unrealistic because what you're doing every day doesn't show.
It doesn't translate.
It doesn't translate. So if you want to be who you are, you have to be that person all the time.
You got to. You have to. You got to remember. I tell. This is one thing. I remember Tony Bland. Tony Bland had said this to me. So I played against him. He's more of a point guard, flashy. So he got all the scouts there, and I end up hitting 45, 50. Ooh. But I wasn't his matchup. Like, we're not competition. I'm a different breed of a guard. I'm Magic. You're a scorer. He said, when you go to college, practice how you play. Because if you go and practice doing something, you don't want to shoot, you're trying to blend in, and they put you in a game. They're putting you in a game in their mind to blend in. So if you go into the practice playing docile, and then you get in the game and try to be you,
Yep.
Get out. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
So what do you do in practice is exactly what you're supposed to be doing in the game. So if people thought I was a ball hog and didn't pass to my teammates in games, the f- you think practice look like?
Murder.
What y'all think practice look like? Practice was worse.
Bro, you can't.
Because I gotta let them know. I gotta let them know there.
You have to set the tone. That's one of the ultimate things. So like if young players coming up, like we have the pre-draft coming up, we have different things coming up, and you have different players that are working their way through this traditional and untraditional route that's now in basketball. Because you have a traditional route, which is playing high school basketball, going to college, and then you have the untraditional route now where you have these different programs like Overtime Elite, you have like these different programs are available. And so I'm watching both to see if there's any difference. There's no difference because it starts with that person. And if you're not willing to go out every day and kill a dude and do it every day until everybody knows when they see you that's who you are, then it don't matter. Because at the end of the day, the game is about putting the ball in the basket. And you have to do it at a very high level. You got to do it very frequent. You got to be very good at it. And then when you have the ability to pass the ball, those abilities don't go anywhere. That ability to make the decision on the top of the, it goes nowhere. But if you're really going to be a killer, you got to be a killer every day.
Yeah, being selfish is not using your ability at its best.
Nope.
If you're not using your God-given talent all the time, you're the selfish one.
I agree.
Like you're hurting. If you were the shooter and I pass you the ball and you do not shoot that shot, you're selfish.
Yep.
That is the selfish play.
That's the selfish play.
Right?
That's a mentality.
And I think that's what, I just think with times and players that have those type of mindsets are not being put back into the game. And you're putting people who blended in. People who blended in are teaching kids how to blend in.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, if you look at NBA benches, how many sharks are on those benching? Like, how many shark type of minds? I'm going to go get it. How many players are on those benches teaching the next shark how to be a shark faster? Not. Like, I watched Miami, right? When Haslem and Jimmy Butler got on the court. Haslem is a shark who's teaching the next shark what a shark is. You got to remember.
And that's why he's there.
They had that beef on a 2-game loss. This was just a second ass open. This wasn't no 6-game losing streak. That shark don't want a 6-game losing streak. So he's challenging the next one. He's seen something. Whoa, you laughing? What's going on?
Right.
And I'm challenging. I want some of you.
Right now.
I need to see him respond.
Yep. And a guy like Jimmy's gonna respond. And that's what you love about him. You want me to tell you? I'll tell y'all a great story about Jimmy. And Jimmy work out 4 in the morning. We get up 4:45, 5. Don't matter. No matter what country, no matter what city, no matter what state. I used to have a rule for him when it came to open gym or like playing like one-on-ones or anything like that. He only could play so many games. You know why? He played too hard. And his legs and stuff, start hurting. If he played in an open run, he's gonna play it like the game. So his game always translated, and he doesn't understand on or off. He's always on. And so that was so impressive about me, and I knew his success would be so high because of his competitive nature. Like it doesn't matter. We can play cards, we play dominoes, whatever we doing, we're gonna do this thing at a high rate, and I want to do it every day at that rate. That's what's impressive. So, and with him and UD being a champion, and you see the challenge of the two, that was just seen in front of everybody. I know for sure that team will be better because of that.
It is always better, but that's why a team that really, you would look at the roster and say, this is a mediocre team.
Right.
That's why they're playing so well. Because you have a guy who's been there. He's been there under Shaq, Lonzo, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh. When they left, he has to go from a champion to bottom. What does that do to a champion? Now he becomes this dude like, yo, what are we doing? This is not how it works.
It's not how
now he has to make everyone believe faster. He gets older. He can't physically do it anymore. So he has to mentally do it.
Does every team need that?
Yes.
Because that's the culture guy.
Because that's the guy who's building. Like think about kids, players who's had success. Think about the coach they had the success under. When you're talking about Booker, he hasn't had 70 since
Chris. The coach.
Earl Watson.
Yeah.
Because what is Earl Watson mindset? Oh, you want to keep your players in? Keep going. Keep going. More plays. More plays. It's going to get me fired? 70. I need you to make history on them. Because Earl Watson is competitive. He's teaching him how to be competitive.
Talking to Earl about that moment, you know, Earl UCLA guy, we're friends. It's like, yo, I know we're going to have a losing season this year, but I need Book to have that mentality and that mindset going forward. So now when we get to this level, he's getting to the finals. He's now, you know, he should be in the MVP race, not really getting mentioned.
Facts.
But, you know, CP3 goes down, he's still carrying this squad, you know, getting buckets, doing those things. And Earl was ready to fight. You know, I know he's getting into it with the Celtics bench.
That's an unbelievable moment right there.
Yep.
Because you've got to have somebody to believe in you like that. That's crazy.
It's the belief that, and that's what I said. It's like, you know, you got so many of these great players that their minds was different. You got to remember, you're trying to, like an Allen Iverson, right? You need him back on the bench somewhere, right? Stop judging him on when he was a superstar.
Right.
That's not who he is
That's
now.
not.
But he can teach them not to do what he did for his downfall. Well, you know what? You don't need the club like this, bro. You don't need all them bodyguards. You don't need. He's at the age where he gets to teach you from falling. Because if not, that player is going to fall and do the same thing because no one's teaching him not to. He's not going to respect the people around him because how do they know? They've never been superstars.
They've never been there before.
How do they know when every girl wants you? Nobody wants your ugly ass, boy.
So
that's how we sound. You know what I mean? Come on, that's how we sound. Like my first introduction, my coach was like, "Yo, pass the ball around. How much you average? Another free career, 7? All right, if I want to average 7, I'll take your advice." I'm a rookie.
That makes sense.
If I want to average 7, I'll take your advice because your advice,
it's going to lead me.
Your mental is how you average 7. Like, and people was wondering, like, yo, why do you, when you go to the gym early to look at Kobe, why? Because if he's supposed to be the best player in this game, I want to see why.
I want to see why. What does that
This is
like?
the NBA. We're all physically gifted. The difference now is brain.
It's the brain.
It's mindset. What is up here that is different than what I'm seeing every single day?
So do you think in the NBA, like you use Earl in that moment has helped Book, because Book to me is unreal. And then getting CP3 on the team has taken him to that team is really good. Me and Dwayne was talking about how good that team is and how well put the team is together. That moment may have helped Book, and he knows he can do 70.
Yep.
So it's not a question if he can do it anymore. He's helped break down that level of, do you think a coach like Coach Kerr, because Steph is like the best shooter ever, And you look at the thought process, and he says, I don't think when I shoot, and you think about putting the ball in the basket in big moments, and you look at all these things. How important is a guy like maybe Steve Kerr to those guys, unleashing like those things that can go on in your brain that allow, because I watch Kerr, I've studied like coaches, I've studied the way they walk at halftime. I'm looking at like he hadn't had a great quarter, and you know he's coming back in the third quarter because Steven already put his arm around him.
Yep.
And it's like, yo, what, like, is that needed
Yes.
in the NBA?
Like if you look at like just even Steph before Kerr got there, right? You know, you have Mark Jackson, a guard. Wasn't a shooter, but he was a guard, right? An NBA player. He sees the talent, doesn't know what type of talent it is, but he sees it.
Right.
All right, you guys do, let me see what I have. He gives him the rope, right? Now Steve Kerr comes. Steve Kerr's a shooter. Under Udonis. Shoot the ball. I want my shooters to let it fly. Don't think. That now, so if you look at all Arizona guards, chuck it. Do not think, right? So just let it fly, right?
That
was our mentality. You, Mike Bibby, you talking about Jason Terry, Stoudemire. We all, Chris Mill, we all had to just let it go. So now you have Kerr teaching a guy who has a flame, who has a torch, who already has let it go in his brain, even more room. Hey, do you? Now, imagine, like people don't understand, like when you're talking about unlocking God mode.
Right.
The person who holds you back or who gives you some type of ceiling is a coach. Because you got to remember, the coach tells you, hey, team ball, hey, your teammates are open. So when you have a coach, there's a ceiling already on the game. We don't know how high this ceiling is. There's a ceiling. And he basically said, hey, everybody, there's no roof.
Let's go.
No roof, go. If you take 600 shots a day, why am I not letting you shoot the shots you think are good? What are you doing all that practicing for if I'm not allowing you to use that shit? Right, you've proven, you gotta remember, you're proving to me that you shoot, you put the work in. I need to let it go. And that's what some coaches, if you didn't play the game, you can't comprehend.
Right.
You can't comprehend. There's some coaches that can't coach talent.
Absolutely.
They can't control, they've learned the game black and white.
And they don't have no wiggle room.
And your superstars are gray area players. They're gray. Curry's gray, Westbrook's gray, Kyrie's gray, Tatum's gray, KD's gray. These are gray area players. So if you're structuring this
it's tough.
you're hurting that player.
Right.
You're hurting yourself. You're better off without a star.
Right.
So now you're gonna take 5 shots, you're gonna take 7 shots, you're gonna, it's more like Princeton style. I'm gonna take this mediocre team and I'm gonna maximize them. Those are, some coaches, that's their skill, maximizing less with less. It's all about knowing who's who.
So it's more so, it's about KYP.
Know your personnel.
Know your personnel. Like, understand who you're dealing with. And that gray area guys, and that with that mentality and that work ethic, that commitment, that drive, you have to sometimes get out the way of yourself and let them, because they're ultimately the ones that are performing. And I think, like, you watching guys in different sports, like Tom, you watch him, he's in that gray area, but the coaches have allowed for him to go, whew.
Look, take somebody like Dallas, right? Even from the owner standpoint, what is Mark Cuban? He's a basketball nut job. So from early, they already had They was already more advanced in the locker room than everybody.
Yeah.
They were more advanced than everybody in their locker room because he's trying to figure out what makes players sit in this gym. What makes players not want to go home? I need my boys in here, working, getting better. So I need to make them feel comfortable. So they already had the TVs, the Xboxes,
Everything.
They already had that. So people try to figure out how come they need to start looking at it as like, dang, Dirk was a superstar there. Michael Finley played well under him. Steve Nash is playing well under him. Luka's playing well under him. Barrera. Why? Because the owner. Let's go. What did he say? Luka's gonna be here for 20 years.
For sure.
What did that just tell him? 20. I have no consequence. There's no consequence here.
That's why it's so good, bro.
There's no consequence. I have no. He said I'm going to be here for 20 years. That unlocked.
I have no ceiling.
And that's what people don't. That right there is the little trick that people don't understand. That is power that he gave that man. He's going to be here for 20 years. That let him know, hey, you're not going anywhere.
Right.
This is your home. Do you. So do you. So now he's out there with the confidence of just.
Do whatever you want, bro.
Wonder why he averaged 28 as a fucking rookie. God, bro.
I wanted to ask you quick just about your experience with Luke. Because from afar, we were at other schools. Like, I remember like Quinn Snyder of Missouri, Kareem rushing the game, didn't take a shot. Quinn's like, I'm gonna take your ass out the game if you don't shoot the ball. And I'm looking on it like, God damn, like, I wish I had that type of motivation. With somebody like Luke, you're not the most heralded recruit, but you put in work, and now I'm putting you, to the forefront. I feel like a lot of coaches don't operate like that. Like this guy's my Mickey D's guy, this guy, whatever. I got to make sure these guys get the love. But somebody like yourself who outworks these guys and now gets that opportunity. Like, so what was your experience like there with Luke in terms of him just letting you go? Like you said, he wants these dudes to shoot and play.
If it wasn't for Luke, I probably wouldn't have been in the NBA. And here's why. Remember, I'm really immature coming into college, right? Every coach would have penalized me for my behavior.
Yeah. So you never got to the court.
Yeah, I would have never got on that court because I wasn't going to class. You know what I mean? I'm talking back to the teachers. I'm doing everything that had nothing to do with basketball. But when it came to basketball itself, I was a demon, right? So you hear the story of Richard saying, they had a curfew and they missed curfew and got sent home from Vegas. I didn't have no curfew. There was no such thing as a curfew for me. No curfew.
Right.
Because they knew I'm going to be one place. If I'm not in the room, I'm not out trying to look for no girls. I'm at the 24 hours. I snuck into the gym somewhere.
Get some work in.
I got some work in. Well, Gil's not in class. Oh, I know where he's at.
Right where to find you.
You know what I mean? So, there's one of those things is like, how, he's sitting there scratching his head. It's like, how am I going to penalize him for working on what he's here for? And that was the big thing. Like, am I going to bench the kid who's put in 4 hours of work today? Yeah, he didn't go to his classes, but he's been in the gym 4 hours. We're watching him for 4 hours working. He's at the top running 5 miles for no reason. He's not even in trouble yet. I'm running the 5 miles because I know I'm going to run 5 miles, so I just want to get the speed of the 5 miles going. That tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock, because I didn't go to class, I'm running 5 miles. And he's seen that. He's seen that in me and did not penalize me. My immature behavior. Like, I remember one time I was doing a move. I scored like 2 times in a row in practice and went for my third, got blocked, and one of the players started bitching and moaning. So I caught an attitude. Straight female behavior. Someone says something, I got mad, did all one of these. Right? If you want the ball, then I don't need to be on your team. Went and sat on the basket and faced the other way, looking in the crowd. And then, little, oh, come on with the girl
right.
behavior. It just makes me sick. It's just one of those, I'm just pouting because I have to pass the ball.
Right.
So I remember we was going through the plays, right? And I'm sitting here like, hey, coach, I don't mean to be rude, but I feel I'm the best player on this team and there's no plays for me. Like, where are the plays at? There's no shooting guard plays. He said, why do I need to call plays for you when the ball finds you? The ball will find the best player. So you're probably the only player I don't need to. You have ultimate green light. Whenever you touch it, you're going to shoot it. So what do I need to draw a play for you? The play is for the people who don't get the ball.
He probably would have slowed you down. Huh? He probably would have slowed you down.
Yeah, he said that. And I'm like, that makes perfect sense. They got to call plays for you because you can't do it on your own. And that's what my brain registered. Plays are for people who can't get the ball.
I think that's true.
But that's it. Now think about what it's like what I'm being told and how I'm processing it. Plays are for people who can't get the ball on their own. Okay. All right.
Because you're going to learn.
So now when a coach calls a play, it's like, oh, he needs the ball. All right. So I'm going to keep going until a coach calls a play. That's why I tell some coaches, hey, hold on. If you have superstars on your team, let them work first. Let them see. They see something different. If they don't have nothing, then you run a play.
Mm-hmm. Just to put them.
But don't stop the ball. Hey, you ain't play, and they, all right, well, what we call it?
Yeah.
Like sometimes some coaches overcoach because they don't trust themselves. They don't trust the game plan that they set. They don't trust their practice. And you can see it like, coach, if you put us in practice 2 hours, 3 hours, and we went through it, let us do it.
Let us do what we do.
So, because if you're going to sit there and draw a play every single time down, you don't really trust. You can't say you don't trust us because you're coaching us.
Right.
You don't trust yourself.
Wow.
They'll blame you, though. They'll blame your ass in a heartbeat, though.
That's a lot to filter, though, when you start thinking about, like, just that process as a player, and then from a player to your team, from the team to the assistant coaches, to the head coach. That's a lot of information that's like passed between. So that is so much that you could see the confusion.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a lot of confusion if it's not a clear message.
Because you train and you do runs, right? How many players have you seen in the summer that are superstars, and in the NBA, they're nothing?
I can't even begin to count. Like, it's that, and you know what I ask? You go to them and ask, because I'm a straight up dude, so it's more like, why are you not playing like that? Like, I see what you do on a daily. I see the development. We focus on 1%. It's not like we're all over the place. You make 1,000 shots a day. You got to do this. You got to do that. Now we got to play. One of the things I learned a long time ago from Coach Lucas was playing is how you really develop.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn a lot from watching someone play. And when there's no coach or there's nobody telling them what to do. And so if I'm in a gym and a player automatically assumes a particular role in our runs, now you start to question his thought process of himself.
Mm-hmm.
But if you run into a situation to where a guy is shooting the ball and he's doing this, and then you put a coach on the sideline and you put him in these situations and he doesn't think the same. He doesn't have Gilbert's mentality. He hasn't went against the grain enough.
Mm-hmm.
But people, they outcry. So when I say outcry, they may not go against the grain when it comes to their professional job. They may do it in their life.
Mm-hmm.
They may do certain things that is like, whoa, why did you do that? But that was their way of saying, like, you can't control me.
Mm-hmm.
But really, they should go straight to the coach.
They deflect. Mm-hmm.
They deflect.
Mm-hmm.
You go straight to the coach and say, look, this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm fine. I see what you see. I see what I see. and this is how it should go. But it takes a lot, and you have to be willing to fail, and you got to be willing to risk it all to actually get where you want to go.
I think players are they're so conscious in what people think of them, right? Mm-hmm. Like if I pegged you as a 6-point scorer, right? Yeah, you my 6-point scorer. You do you play cool.
Right.
You're safe.
Right.
I already have through my roster. All right, we're gonna win 40 games this year. This is what I got. This is what I got. But you are a player who shows the ability to be great. You gotta challenge it so he knows you're not a 6-point scorer.
Right.
You don't think he wants another person he can depend on?
Every coach wants to win.
Every coach wants to win.
Every
You have to really go out there and challenge it. You got to challenge it in practice. You got to challenge it in the locker room. You got to that's what people don't understand. If you don't challenge, you don't get results. Like I used to see players like yo, this man kills this man every single day in runs, and then in a game,
you don't see it.
In the NBA, like, yo, what the hell happened to this dude?
That's why studying the brain, to me, it becomes so important. Because when you watch it on a day-to-day basis, we play ones, we play twos, we play threes. And, I think the only way that you become great at what you do is to put you in as many competition battles as possible, right? And so my guys that develop with me, they know I'm big. I don't want to play. No, we got to play ones today. We at least got to get three, 4 spots in.
Yeah.
And because I need to see what's translating and what's not. Because it's not about me, but it's about you. Because at the end of the day, me being a great teacher, I'm preparing you to go perform. I want peak performances. I want guys getting $100 million checks. I want max players. And whether you over here, I feel like I could take you there. And if you're there, I could take you there. And so studying the brain is a big factor in development because I have to see the way you see yourself. If I see you as great and you don't see yourself as great, there's a conflict. And the conflict is now you versus you. So you can't even come to me and start blaming other people because I've already seen what you can do. So when I'm developing players, and I feel like this is the difference between me and any guy that would consider himself a developer, I would look at myself as a master teacher, a sensei, like a karate studier. Like, I want to put you in the most stressful situation as possible. And guys that are like on the bench or guys, we need to play more this summer. How much did you play? You didn't even get to go at this dude. So like, he don't even know what you can do. Like, bro, you got that left hand jump hook? Yeah, I keep, what we doing? Like, why are you not attacking him? What's the aggressiveness? And, you can hear the complaints. So the complaints is, this is what they want me to do. But do you do that in practice? Or you're doing that in the beginning of training camp. So from the beginning, when you walk into training camp, it's probably where they play the most at in the NBA. If you haven't established yourself. You should be killing everything moving. If I'm in summer league, I'm going at everybody. Practice, games, workouts, there's no off days. So when you're walking into practice and we're getting ready for a summer league game, if you're one of my guys and you're working with me, all you looking at messages me is kill in practice, walk in practice, no light shooting, you go hard. Like, you do this. This is how you go at him. When the season ends for you in April because you guys not making practice, we start back in 3 days. But we'll start mental coaching and start doing we're not gonna do no movements. You're gonna get used to making 1,000 shots a day. And now when June get here, now we can start to really move and now it's ready for summer league. So you have to be ready to go on. You keep the light switch on. And I think that's really, really tough.
It's tough because, most players are not honest with themselves. Right? We all have flaws. Usually when I ask people, I say, what were your flaws this year? Okay, so those are your flaws. All right. all you do is you take the summer, clean up 2 of them. The next summer, clean up 2 more. So you're just closing on how to be a perfect player.
Yep.
If you don't, because you got to remember, when you're playing a game and something happens, you go to your animal instinct of
Quickly.
what you are, what you do, right? So you're going to go away from your flaw. That's why you take the summer to clean it up, right? So you will understand why Chicago camp was rough for me, right? Because it's mental. To me, this is mental. Okay, we got stress test. Okay, cool. All right, how do we win? How do I win? I want to win. What's the highest time? 18 minutes. How many people's done it? Everybody. Huh?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I don't want part of it. I don't want to be a part of this. Everyone can win this shit. This is everyone gets an award type. That has not how my brain works.
Right.
I don't want to do it. And that's where I'm challenging. I don't want to do that. Like sprint drill, like sprints. It seemed like growing up, I was the only person happy about sprints. I was the only person.
Because it's going to be a winner and a loser.
I'm sitting here like I want to be first. Like I want to be first. If I wasn't first, I wasn't first. I'm like raising my hand. Hey coach, hey, let me shoot the free throw. I'm missing a free throw so we can do this shit again. I'm that person. I'm the person you don't want to shoot the free throw. Because if I did not win, I'm shoot to miss so I can run. I want to win. I want to cross that finish line. So 17s, all that shit. That shit was exciting for me. Because it wasn't, coaches use it as bad behavior.
But it's not.
Get on the line and run. Like, I'm just going to get in shape.
Right.
I'm just gonna get in shape. What do I care for?
Right.
Now I can play longer in the fourth quarter. Now you can't take me out. I can play all 48 minutes. We can run all day if I don't have to come out in the game.
Man, that's crazy.
But that's how I looked at it. So when coach was like, all right, we got 17s. Yes, sir. Sir. Let's go. I'm sitting there and I'm gone. It was never going to, oh man, see you did like 5 miles. That's what I said, in college, I'm practicing 5 miles knowing that we got 5 miles in the morning.
Right.
I just want to get the speed of it. I just want to get the speed. I'm like, I never looked at anything as pain.
Right.
I'm watching, this is how my brain, I'm watching Coach Carter. I'm watching a movie, right? And it was when the kid, he quit the team and he came back after they won the first game.
Yeah.
And they said, all right. He said, you don't want to know what you have to do to get on this team. He said, you have 500 push-ups and 1,000 suicides. I spent the whole movie trying to Google how many miles did the suicide equals. To see if it was even realistic.
Did you come up with a number?
It was like 30, so it's like he had till Friday, so it was about 36 miles. But that was just up and down. But you gotta remember, you go here, right. It becomes more. So I couldn't, I'm trying to figure, I didn't even watch the movie because my brain was stuck on, is this actually realistic? I just couldn't get past.
I'll just say hell no.
I just couldn't get past the number, like 1,000? All right, let me try to, and I'm Googling to try to see how that.
Where it was, how it reacted.
But that's how my brain works.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out,
You just made me think of something. Would you ever, no, it's a long shot. Would you ever want to coach in the NBA?
Because I've been there, I know I've been around coaches, I understand players, upper management. Unless you have the right circumstances, it's not a longevity thing. So.
No. But I think your impact could be, because you could be, the way everything is structured, you have offensive coach, you have defensive coach, but then you have the KYP coach. You have the guy that is giving his guys what is needed to peak perform. And if you've given if you're giving that at the beginning of the season, you're gonna finish the race strong. It may take a while to break guys of the old habits of passing up shots. That's why when I watch teams like a Golden State, they said, man, all the guys that play for there are automatic shooters. But you just gave a great example of why there's no ceiling. How they shot so well and the way they're doing things. This is something I talked to Andrew Wiggins about. You know, I work with him and when we're working, no, Andrew, we're gonna need 1,000 reps because coach is gonna let you.
But now you see the difference between organizations on how his brain moves. The game, you ain't changed conference. You're still on the West Coast. You just changed circumstances and became an all-star. All because a coach
There's no ceiling.
has no ceiling for you.
Yeah. You would be an
So you don't have to second guess. I would understand this apart NBA. I can look at players and a coach should be like, all right, this is who I want in the last 1 minute. I can say, nah.
right away.
No.
Right.
He's not a last 1 minute player.
But you wouldn't.
That is not his
that.
brain does not function in that time zone. The kid right there who hasn't came in the game, that's where his brain excels. Last 2 minutes, he's like Tebow. He's Tebow. Tebow can't probably play 1 through 3 quarters, but you say, hey, Tebow, we're down 14, 4 minutes left, get it done.
Win a game.
His brain registers. Go mode. Why do you think he always excelled in those moments?
You have players like that always.
Because the coach doesn't play, he don't know what he's looking at. Because that play, you got to remember, there's players in just sports that just, their brains work different. You have like red zone players. There's players who excel. They're the Tom Brady of red zone. You got players that they're horrible to red zone. The rest of the field, they're amazing. You have to understand what you have. Because as a coach, I need to put you in. So there's people where I've been like, if there's 1 minute to go, and I'm the type of player that if I have Russell Wilson, who's great as he's great, and I have Tebow, I'm the stupid coach that'd be like, all right, Tebow, go.
You're gonna take the risk.
I'm gonna take the risk because I know his brain just sees the game different when there's no structure to it. So if I put them 10 out of 10 and say, here's 10 possessions to do that, Tebow might be just as great or better than this franchise, all because the circumstance you're putting him in.
There you go. You might win a few more championships like that.
So I got to ask you, you talk about the mental side of it, Ben Simmons. Ben, we watched the videos in the summertime, jumpers looking buttery, he's hitting threes, he's playing at a high level. Comes to the season, it doesn't really translate well. He's only 25 years old.
Right.
So when you look at Ben now, what's it going to take for him to now transfer all that work he's doing in the summer and to actually put it in gameplay? Because we see the jumper, and as a hooper, the jumper looks good, but for some reason, when it gets to the season time, he can't lock in, he's afraid to shoot it. So how are you working with him on that just to get over that mental hurdle?
Well, I think with Ben, number one, people don't know his work ethic, right? And so he bought in to the teaching and to the process, right? So he's actually putting in the work, he's putting in the time, and it takes a long time to develop anything, any type of skill set. You have to have thousands and thousands of reps, and then when you go from the rep piece, you have to start looking at the foundation piece, the footwork, the balance. Ben is probably one of like 2 or 3 players that is that big and that fast that I've ever worked with, right? And his ability to go from 0 to 100 is unreal. So now picture that and trying to stop full speed to pull up and shoot a jumper. Now you run that back when he's coming down and watching film, he don't need a crossover. Why need a crossover for? I could just run right over you. That's his mindset. His mindset is like that. So I've really been studying Ben. I'm talking about mental, physical, how to get him to understand his body because he has to go perform. I don't have to go perform. So there's no umbilical cord there. It's just getting him enough reps that's needed and getting him the right reps. So not just being all over the place. So like going full speed in his workouts and stopping on a dime. Like a full push, boom, and going full boom, and then stopping. Well, if I'm not a Lamborghini, and I think Gil said it a few times, it's really hard to be able to connect with a Lamborghini.
It has to do.
I'm a Tesla, right? That dude's a Lamborghini on steroids. So my brain has to be open. I have no ceilings. So his translation, we've been working at this a couple of years, his translation to in-game reps is right there. You know, before the pandemic, and he had his moments. He started hitting threes in the game. He started doing different things. And, you know, I didn't play for the coaches, but I don't know the expectation of coaches. And, you know, throughout the show, we talked about ceilings. Being with this new team, new situation, been around 2 gray area players that are unbelievable, because Kai is going crazy right now, by the way. Coach Steve, play without a ceiling. You know, he play. I think you're gonna see Ben Simmons in a whole different light, because I'm with him and I know what to see. And I've never, you know what I love about the kid that translates to scoring and shooting, and this bags up. I've never seen him bag away from a fight. Hey, we got a hoop today. He texted me, we hooping today? Bro, we hooped yesterday. Bro, I wanna hoop. I want to hoop. Like, I want to, like, you know, I want to get at this dude. And I'm not going to lose this summer. I'm going to compete on it. He's a great defender, right? Because his competition is high. Like, he's not going to let you score. And it's like in his brain, you know, if I tell him something like Joe Johnson came to the gym, and this is why I love, like, Gil come to the gym, and D come to, all these top of the notch basketball players that have done it at the high level in front of everybody, come to the gym. And this is what makes my gym exceptional. Because you got a guy like Joe Johnson said, Ben, you're not going to block a shot. And he said, I'm going to get it. Joe was just shooting over, because Joe is a scorer. Ben eventually blocked this shot. Boom, look right at me, right away. Bro, I thought you said I want to get a shot. I was like, bro, that was tough. So his competitive nature, along with his work ethic, and him being in the league and only being 25, you're gonna see him go to the next level. Change of scenery, change of coaches, change of environment, you know, being in a new situation, new system. I looked at like D'Antoni, you look at Steve Nash. Steve Nash was 2-time MVP under D'Antoni. D'Antoni made James Harden, MVP of the league. It's something about his offensive coaching in a team structure that allows players to just,
remember Duhan, when he had Duhan was leading the league in assists.
think about it. So it's going to be interesting. But to answer your question, I think I'm excited to see him get on the court. Like, everybody's excited to see him get on the court. And probably not more than me, because I see the work that he's putting in. And if he didn't work, I would tell you he's not a worker, because I don't bullshit. I don't give a fuck about that shit. He's a worker. I wouldn't even work with him if he didn't work. So the translation of a jump shot is more so of getting the right reps, learning his body, being able to stop, and being able to put that same rep 1,000,000 times, over and over again. Can he shoot the three? Of course. He's strong. He can shoot the three right-handed and left-handed. He's super talented. So I'm looking forward to it, just like you. And can he play? He can play. And if he come back right now, because we don't know when he's coming back off of it, Brooklyn's going to be.
It always bothered me with Ben, because everyone's looking at one side. Oh, he's soft. He's this. Like, he is first team all defense.
For sure.
Just to be all defense itself, you have to have a dog mind mentality. Period. Like, to be on the defense, you're talking about Bruce Bowen mentally, Tony Allen, Dennis Rodman, you're talking about Rudy Gobert, but you're talking about Klay Thompson, you're talking about Scottie Pippins and Gary Payton, you're talking about dog mentality, people who are bringing a fight, they're taking a challenge. So the fact that you're questioning his mental is so ridiculous because either are you not playing or watching sports?
Right.
He is 2-time first team all. It means he has I want to get at you mind. I'm taking the challenge to, okay, maybe on the offensive mind, he might not feel comfortable taking shots that he don't want to take.
Right.
Like, but you got to think about everybody who was actually super faster than they were supposed to be. They have a hard time shooting.
Right.
Because again, if you're not used to full speed
You gotta
stop,
go full speed
think about
stop,
Westbrook.
bro.
What is Westbrook's problem? When he's moving so fast and he's getting ready to go, then he has to stop. Hit the top of the backboard because it's that speed.
I'm telling you,
John
it's
Wall,
fast, bro.
he's moving so fast and now he has to stop and pull up.
It's fast.
Like if Ben sat in the corner and just shot nothing but spot up shots,
Right.
it makes it easier because he ain't got to move. His momentum's not going anywhere.
But he's a moving player.
But he's a moving player.
He's a moving target. I watched him, bro. I haven't seen him not peak perform. I'm like
would you think about LeBron, right? Now look at LeBron, right? This is what's going to take Ben to understand. LeBron is what? Super fast once that motor gets to going. Well, look at all his threes. He's never moving really. His motor stopped. Like, all right, step. He's not coming off the fast break and you pass it to him and he's coming up. He's not coming off screens and moving so fast. That man would throw it out of bounds trying that shit.
It's tough, bro.
But he's gotten smart enough to understand
right.
what makes his shot better.
Yeah.
You know, Ben is still young. Ben is still using his athleticism. So once he gets to moving, he wants to just keep going.
Bro, he's so fat. His torque. I'm telling you.
That's what I was watching. Remember I came in this summer and I was like, you know me, I'm looking. I'm like, all right, where's the he has great form. What the hell?
Yeah, he got great mechanics.
Like, the mechanics are great. It's like, so it's like,
So I had to go deeper. I had to think beyond that. And I'm like, okay, I'm watching the film, I'm studying, I'm trying to be a guru of this and help him unlock whatever he needs to be unlocked to get to him becoming the best player that he could become, win championships and be at the top. So you cannot have a ceiling to do that. Mm-hmm. And that one thing stood out to me just this whole past 2 years. I was like, dude, you're like one of the fastest people I've ever seen with the ball. You don't need no breakdown. Most people can't just be dribbling and say, I'm just gonna go.
Jason Kidd.
I'm just gonna go around you.
Yeah.
And you're gonna stay right here, and I'm just gonna keep going.
That's who he reminds me of, now that you think about it. The early years of Jason Kidd.
I'm just gonna go by you.
But taller. He's so fast. He's so moving. Once he gets it, he's gone. He's always on the move, which if you look at Jason Kidd's shot early in his year.
It's the deceleration.
Yeah, that's the problem, just slowing down, to actually focus on the shot.
That's my brain, and he's done a great job, and he's put in the work of learning how to decelerate his motor at full speed, which allows him to shoot, which I think is the ultimate shot. You had it. It's that 8-10 footer. I can get to the shot anytime, any day. That's the championship shot. That's the one that puts you, when everything starts to shrink down, you can get to that bread and butter anytime you want, at any play. And that's what you guys are seeing, like when we're posting in the summer runs. It's free.
It's free.
He's free. It's free.
Well, Chris, we appreciate you pulling up, man. Thank you so much for this convo. I feel like hoopers, basketball players, no matter where you stand, you need to listen to this thing and really take notes and learn from it.
Get the mental in.
Yes, sir.
You're right. This has been another episode of No Chill with Gilbert Arenas. We'll be back with more very soon.